Hull City's second deadline day signing, and it's an interesting one as Darko Gyabi joins Hull City on a permanent 3-year deal, joining from Leeds United. Hello there and welcome back to the Hull City Fan Central YouTube channel, where today we're going through the second and final transfer in for Hull City, that being of deadline day and of course of this summer transfer window. Transfer window which has been quite positive, considering Hull City was slapped with 2 embargoes, fee restrictions, couldn't sign anyone, but they've managed to pull out quite maybe even the best summer transfer window, or maybe even the best transfer window we've seen under Adrian Ilajali. But of course, we will wait and see on how that turns out with the product on the field. But Darko Gyabi is the man we're going to talk about today. Now, I'd say the interesting factor about this one, Hull City are still under the fee restriction part of the embargo and all sorts, which we suffered this summer, which means we can't currently still buy any players from clubs. But Hull City have signed Darko Gyabi on a 3-year contract from Leeds United. Presumably, it's a similar situation to what we have seen prior to this, where he's left Leeds United so he can join here, and then there might be something in the contract where if there's a sell-on, Leeds United might get a little bit of the money back. So something like that. Although there might be some sort of link where Leeds United are getting something. I presume there is some sort of workaround with this. But the big factor is Darko Gyabi is into Hull City. Was rumoured this might be a loan move, but it's actually going to be a permanent one, which I think might be even better than it says on the face of it. Darko Gyabi, of course, a very promising youth player. He's only 21 years old, has already had a little bit of service time in the Championship, but more known for his pedigree and what he has done in the youth rankings, of course, primarily over at Manchester City, and of course had a fair bit of whack in the England youth setup as well. So let's hear what Hull City have to say on the latest and final deadline day signing. Hull City are delighted to announce the signing of central midfielder Darko Gyabi from Leeds United on a 3-year contract with a club option of a further year. The 21-year-old has made 54 appearances across 2 loan spells in the Championship with Plymouth Argyle over the past 2 campaigns, earning the Pilgrims Young Player of the Year award last season. Born in London, the towering midfielder caught the eye at Millwall before joining Manchester City's academy over in 2018, winning 2 under-23 and 2 under-18 title winners' medals. England under-21 international moved to Ellen Road in 2022, and played 5 senior matches for the Whites, including 1 in the Premier League against his former club, Manchester City. He joined Plymouth on loan in January of 2024 and featured 10 times for the Pilgrims, providing 1 assist before a groin injury in March curtailed his season. Gyabi returned to Home Park last season and became a regular fixture during the 24-25 campaign, making 48 appearances in all competitions and 38 of them being starts. Scoring his first senior goal in a 3-3 draw against Middlesbrough, the midfielder also contributed with 2 assists and played the full 90 minutes in Argyle's famous FA Cup win over Liverpool last season. On the international stage, Gyabi has represented England at 6 youth levels, beginning with the under-18s and most recently earning 2 caps at the under-21s in last November. Before we hear about what Gyabi has to say about his move to Hull City, what does this mean for the squad in general? Well, of course, it adds some depth that is possibly significantly needed at Hull City within their midfield rankings. Of course, we've seen the sort of layout of the squad, and it only takes a few injuries, a little virus bug to go round the camp, and you're left wondering what is the midfield options that you're going to lay out for that game. This comes in as a youth player that is going to be around that first team he is. He's not going to be signing the club and then going to play the entire season at the under-21s level. I highly doubt that will happen. He might still have some games at the under-21s level, and of course then filter in and sort of have maybe a bench role to start off and see how he sort of feeds into this squad. Of course, he has played pretty much a full season last season worth of games. 48 appearances, 38 of them being starts. Of course, it's for a side of Plymouth that went down last season, but of course, at the end of the season, I think within the last sort of month or so, or maybe month or 2 months, they had the best record of any of the relegation candidates, that including, of course, Hull City, and he was part of that, of course, contributing a little bit for Plymouth last season. Maybe looked for him to contribute a little bit more in his sort of playmaking ability, and of course, that's probably what Hull City are looking to adapt and sort of progress with Gyabi moving forwards at Hull City. Of course, this isn't one we're going to see maybe direct the fruits from the labour this season. I would be more expecting Darko Gyabi to maybe have a bit of a bigger feature next season, maybe even the season after that. It's going to be one where Hull City may use the full 3 years here to get the best out of Darko Gyabi, and maybe even at the end of it have a sell-on factor there where they can maybe ship him off to a Premier League side, fetch a pretty penny in for him there, as possibly, who knows, the future is unwritten with this Darko Gyabi. He has so much promising aspects about him. I think he just needs that right bit of tutorship, that right bit of mentorship, and of course with maybe some of the experienced midfielders that we have in this squad. You look like Max Crooks, John Lundstrom, of course Casey Palmer, Regan Slater's been around a bit as well. You've got some experienced midfielders within the squad which maybe will help Darko Gyabi help progress, and I'm not 100% sure on the crossovers, but there surely was a crossover between Darko Gyabi and Joel Ndala over at Manchester City. Of course, both of them being in the youth setups, I believe, around the same time. I know Joel Ndala was at Man City's youth setup for quite a stretch of time, and Darko Gyabi being there from 2018 to 2022. So I presume that there is some sort of crossover there. They may know each other, which maybe was another factor in why this move sort of got facilitated. And I mean, a link-up play between Darko Gyabi and Joel Ndala, hopefully that produces something quite nicely for Hull City. But I say, Darko Gyabi is maybe not a project where you're going to see the direct fruits of the labour this season. I could be very wrong on this, and he could be a player that is very, very influential for this squad, and one that we look back at the end of the season and go, he's a player of the season contender. What was I on about? But I certainly wouldn't be too rash if he's not a big contributing factor early on this season. But maybe look towards the back end of the season, maybe even on into next season, and he could be a key player in this Hull City squad. But I do have one more video to come out today, and that being about a transfer out for Hull City, possibly one that has helped bring Darko Gyabi in. It's only a loan move out, but it's an interesting one at that. So stay tuned on the channel by liking and subscribing to keep up to date with all of that and everything else Hull City. As you can tell, I am back in England, back in the Hull City office, so there will be plenty more Hull City news and content out here on the HullCityFanCentral YouTube channel. So I will see you in the next video. Up the Tigers!